I would like to call the December 9th, 2025 informal meeting to order at 1:01 p.m. All right. Board members, do we have anyone that wants to start?
Okay.
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, I got this great email from our chairperson, like I'm sure we all did, about many subjects that were covered at the conference. The one that caught my interest, and I think I got a lot out of myself, was one of the three breakouts on AI. And it changed my perception of how it can be used and my perception of plagiarism. And I think we could probably expand it. I also had the pleasure of watching a TED Talk from Khan Academy that was quite inspiring, the way he uses AI with his tutoring program. From the TED Talk, if a student goes to solve a complex math problem, which was an example he used, and they get the answer wrong, they don't say, well, the right answer is this, and this is how you do it. They try to get the student to explain their reasoning to come up with the wrong answer, and they correct that reasoning as an instructional tool. So in the end, the student gets the right answer by doing it the way it should be done, if you follow what I'm saying. So they're not giving the answer, but they're giving the prompts from AI to come to the correct answer. And being artificial intelligence, it has such a vast library of information behind it that it can cover a whole variety of subjects. And as that AI component gets to know the student, it tailors what needs that student has, so it gets more and more effective as time goes on. The other part of it, which was gone over at the conference, was you have to protect the school district from what information is allowed to be used. So what I got out of it, they suggest that you only allow the students to use that in school, on school computers, not their own personal computers. So we maintain the integrity of our internal computer system. Is that there is the possibility that kids being kids and going places that kids go could bring something that's infected into our district. So I think that if the guardrails are in place to keep foreign material out, it could be beneficial. Now, I had a discussion also with Tim Kennedy from Citrus County, former chair. I think he was a former president of the SBA also, about AI. And his take on plagiarism is different than mine. Mine is, okay, student sees something, they copy it, they write it, they submit it, and it's not their work. His thought is the jobs of the future in 10 years are going to require more productivity from the worker. And it's a question of knowing what prompts to use to get that information to fulfill the duties of a job. So the plagiarism is not going to matter as much as how you get the information. And like our secretary today, who does a great job, Radar over there, you know, she can pump out 10 letters a day, and if she's using AI, she'll be able to pump out 100 different letters a day because of the resources that are at the disposal. It's going to change how the workforce works, and we need to be on top of that. So my objections to using AI because of plagiarism has changed. Now, yes, if it's cited, it's not plagiarism. So the question is, how do you get the kids to turn around and make sure they cite the works that they get or the sources they use for the components? I mean, it's obvious if you get somebody's poem and you quote who the author is, or an article by someone and you put down, but I think if we do that or teach them how to do that, we'll be covering bases. So I think it's something we should look at expanding, or at least bring it back as a workshop to expand it more fully into the classroom, and do it in a manner where we don't compromise our computer systems.
Does anyone else have any comments on the AI? I do, if after Mr. Pender.
So I can have, I know Jesse and his team have worked a lot on this, so I can have Jesse, Joe, a team come in to do a presentation to the board before we figure out where we're going. It might be good to know where we are with this, and update where we are and some of the procedures we've come up with, some of the things that they've been working on, and I know that they work with their teams at school levels, and then kind of project what you said about what might be the future and what we're doing to try to get there. So I'll set that up for a workshop.
Yeah, and as you said, the procedures in place are very important, and they need to be established before anything on a massive level goes out.
Some of the eye-opening things during the trainings that I learned as well that I'm guilty of, that I'm not sure maybe all the staff would even know. If you are making a PowerPoint or putting something on social media and you copy and paste a picture into your PowerPoint or say on your Facebook post or social media post, that's a copy. That picture is copyrighted. They now have AI platforms that look for copyrighted pictures that were quote unquote stolen, and then they send the school district a bill for it, an amount of like $600 is what they said. And so this is what districts are facing, and educating your staff on knowing that you can't do that anymore. I'm guilty of it. I had no idea that I could get essentially a fine for doing something like that. So again, going to the workshop and having our tech go over what our procedures look like with AI. And a lot of districts are also making a policy for AI.
Yeah.
We don't have a policy for it. We do have procedures, and it's listed, I think, some of it under our technology. But they are updating that, and they said it's a policy that is evolving, and you need to look at that policy every year and just update, because things, are changing so fast in that field.
By the way, that was a lovely email.
Welcome. Thank
Very
you.
informative.
So, and then I guess also I sent this email to our superintendent. Some of the questions that they asked were, are the AI platforms that we have, do we have like a whole list of those, and do we have all those security and data privacy agreements in place for each of those? So those would be great questions, for the workshop. I'm sure we do, but just very informative.
Yeah, the session that I attended, they stressed the fact to have a closed system, where it's our computers only in school using our approved or allowed AI components. And if it's an outside, you got to keep it outside. Otherwise, you infect the whole system, and it'll be crazy.
Right. Like, I think some teachers, not necessarily, I don't know, just in the training, they said there are teachers that use the Chat GPT, and they're allowing the kids to use the Chat GPT in their classroom, and they're implementing, student information into that. And if the child is under the age of 13, it's actually illegal to do, and actually putting the information of student information in Chat GPT is also not necessarily a safe thing to do. So just education in general, and making sure that we're covered as a district would be important. Go ahead.
If I could comment.
Sure. Mr. Myers.
So we just had a presentation on AI. One of our lawyers is sort of a leading authority on AI, and she presented at FSBA, one of the many. But a couple things that I gleaned from all this is the number of hallucinations, and trying to figure out a way of making sure that the answers you're getting are actually correct. And all these providers are working really hard to reduce the number of hallucinations, but it's not easy. A closed system is much better than an open system. The other
And you should clarify what a hallucination is, because a lot of people don't realize that.
A hallucination is where you ask a question and they give you a made-up answer. For example, in the legal field, they make up cases. So I want cases on employment discrimination, and they make up names of cases that don't exist. And lawyers who don't do their homework, they've cited those cases in files, and they've gotten disciplined for it.
Yeah, the state of Florida, though, as I understand it, if you're using AI in preparing a brief, it has to be spelled out using
true.
AI. and that clues the clerk and the
Yeah.
judge into reviewing it.
The other thing that, to pick up on the board member's point about prompts, how you ask the question is critical. I was doing a debate with one of my colleagues, it was for fun, about whether we should have stricter ethics laws and whether stricter ethics laws create a disincentive for people running for office. The way we ask the question, we got different answers. So the prompts are critical. So training the kids how to ask the right questions, the right prompts, is something that's got to be part of all of this. So.
Well, that would be a class at a high school level on how to craft prompts. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Ms. Bonzik?
So I have two things. One, I'm going to direct to Ms. Duvall to ask her with, well, because you worked on the field trip policy paperwork and stuff, and when I went through our agenda, a lot of them still aren't complete. I know we're learning it. Is there any way to make a better checklist for them? I don't know. Like, when I look at the agenda, I look for certain things. One, how it's being paid for, who's all going, what chaperones are going, are their children going with medical needs, and do we have that information, and that all the parents have signed a consent form is a big thing to me, because then they already know that their kids are either going in a hotel room. You know, other counties have gotten lawsuits recently for hotel stays and different things, and I want to find ourselves in that. So I'm just wondering, can you advise me on if we can do a better checklist?
No, the checklist is in the order of the pages that follow it.
And every page should be in, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And they are not to be using, I'd have to defer to Kelly. They are supposed to be using the new and improved. Okay.
Okay.
It's there.
Did you,
We've made
did you
revisions.
see a copy of that checklist, Mrs. Bonzik?
I have not.
There's one in the agenda.
There's one in the agenda, yes. So I'm assuming that's the one we're using. That's why I was asking. But not everybody in this agenda filled out the pamphlet correctly. So instead of me having to call every person and how many field trips we have on this next agenda coming up, because they didn't fill it out correctly. So that was just a question. I didn't know.
They're not supposed to get to us unless it's correct, and I will take some, not all responsibility for that. But so much is incumbent upon the people filling out the forms. The checklists, as I said, goes page by page by page, which is
some of
what's
them are
followed.
some of them are very good at it, but
They
other schools
Yeah,
not so
some of
much.
they are just
Some of them are very vague on funding sources. I mean, the ones where the students are going here or there, for the most part, it says paid for by students.
right.
Other ones say, well, if we get a grant, we're going to do this. And that bothers me. You shouldn't be submitting something unless you have the grant.
So
Right.
do you think, Mr. Pender, that you can maybe put a memo out so that everything is highlighted and touched on that's on that checklist, and that they can fill it out
Well,
properly?
I think at this point we've told them, we've kind of told the schools how to fill it out. I think what I can do is, number one, when it gets to me, look more at for each item. But before it gets to me for approval for a board agenda, there's a lot of other people that look at that. So the principal signs off on it. So I will Thursday, 2 days from now, we have a principals meeting. I'll talk to them about that there, and making sure that when they sign off that the packet is complete.
Yeah,
That's part of the process. And then there's other people that, Gina looks at it before it comes to my level to approve for a board agenda. So I'll ask her we'll all look at it a little bit more closely to make sure that the items are
A lot
there.
of it could be handled by the principal.
And
Go through the packet, look at what's
Right.
there, what's missing, kick it back. Some of these trips are not until the spring, so there's no rush on getting it done.
So at the principals meetings that you have, maybe we could pass one out to everybody and let them look at it, and you can go over it.
Yeah, they're on the intranet. I mean, we can bring it up and show them the checklist and where they sign off and go over that with them, so I can do that.
Thank you.
yeah, because I don't want to.
We
I
have
don't want
made
to hold
some
up.
revisions. I've stopped now with revisions because I don't want it to get so confusing, because the other old forms were still out there, and they were accessing the wrong forms. So Kelly was working on that to get that cleaned up.
Okay, that's what I was asking, was have we not got everything? Because I know you worked on it very hard to get it done. I knew you would have the answer for me. So the other thing is, I know we all got an email about Sal-Val policy and children being at one high school for 3 years. And I think this came up because I don't know that anybody has done this route before, and that is want to do 2 of our more elite programs, IB and ACE. He started out in 9th grade doing ACE, finished in 10th grade, and moved to Springstead to do his IB. Makes him unqualified, even if he's the top of his class, being at the school for only 2 years. I don't want to change the policy that kids can change in for 3 years, but I don't know if there's something we can add to it saying for only that reason, a child that's going through both of our top-notch programs, ACE and IB, and complete it, would be eligible. They don't complete it and they get to IB and they can't succeed at IB, or their grade point is too low, well, then they're not eligible. But I don't know if that's something we can look at, or thoughts on it.
So I
So what you're saying is as long as they're in one of the 2 programs for 4 years at the graduating high school, they would qualify?
Yeah,
They have to be as a senior, they have to have been at that school for 3 years.
because if not, they could
Currently.
schools.
We
Right,
used to have
currently.
kids transferring all
They
over
could
the
move
place
constantly. I
and
spoke,
displacing kids.
yeah, I spoke to the father on that situation,
yes?
and then I spoke to Mr. Pender. Mr. Pender, can you weigh in on that?
So, sorry. So the policy is in place. I understand what you're saying. It would be an exception
To the 3-year.
to the 3 years.
Correct.
I mean, we can talk about it, but if we do an exception for that, and then the next one comes up, then we're going to have another, exception. I do like the narrow scope that you said, because I believe you said that they have to complete
They
both
have to complete
programs.
both programs,
But
and that's the
the
only.
policy currently states the 3 years, and prior to that, as Ms. Duval was saying, we would actually have, there were instances, I guess I should say, where I believe people actually shopped around to the different high schools, found out through research what the GPA was, looked at their GPA, and then would try to get to that high school that's why that 3 years came into play, the history of that.
They did it.
They probably still do it now.
Ms. Duval knows the history well.
That's why I was asking for only those 2 things. You have to complete ACE in 2 years.
Yeah, we'd
and
have
you have to complete IB in 2
We
years.
would have to have that exception, because the other way, they will shop. And
Right, the other way they'll shop, absolutely, and I'm not saying that.
It'll
I'm not
become a
trying to make
headache.
it
Maybe
unfair.
a different category for their recognition,
Okay,
other than Val Sal.
Sal, maybe.
Maybe look at that.
This is
Maybe
something
look
we'd
at
have to add in policy, right? So that would require 2 meetings,
It would,
28 days.
yes, I wouldn't do it now.
No, if we went in effect, it wouldn't go in effect. Earliest it could go in effect would be
For next
Next year.
school year.
So
For that child, it would affect, but
And I did.
And they
feel-
know it going in.
And I did feel the struggle for that family and for that father and his daughter, because that's a lot of work.
it was
to
a
put in.
son, I think.
It's a son. The daughter's doing the same
The
thing.
daughter's doing the same thing. Yeah, she is doing the same thing she's
And
gonna
that's
do.
a lot of work they're putting in for him that they did, and now for her that's doing it.
Right, she's gonna
to
do
not
the
get
ACE and then
recognized.
IB.
So I did discuss that with Mr. Pender, thinking there's something that we should be able to do.
So do we need to bring that back also as a?
So I'll have staff, I mean, they've gathered some of the ideas that you have here today. I'll have them talk and then get back with you individually with those discussions, and then we can bring that back.
That's fine. I just thought, I don't want to, especially a child that's been in our school system from kindergarten up, and then they get to high school and they decide they want to do this extra program, and they can finish it, but then they want to go to do the IB program. They've been in our schools, they're not trying to jump ship per se, or make sure that we're telling these parents When that 2 years is up and you decide you want to jump ship,
They-
you've lost this.
They did know.
And they have to sign.
They did know. I don't think they had a form they signed, but they did know. In fact, I believe after some situations previously, the counselors, administrators are meeting with the top 10 students to let them know what these timelines are in terms of this is when your GPA is calculated, this is what counts, et cetera, because, again, people were trying to do something that was not by policy, and then getting all upset because they weren't getting what they thought they deserved. So it's not new. I think what threw me was that you could complete the ACE program in 2 years. I thought that was a 4-year program.
You can complete IB in 2 years, too.
Well, IB is only, can, by IB policy,
Can only be 2 years.
can only, not our policy, they can only do that in 11th and 12th grade.
Okay.
But they take the pre-IB coursework in 9th and 10th grade.
Correct.
If they don't take the AP advanced placement courses, they are taking the pre-IB courses because that's what IB wanted. That's why we ended up going with IB down into the middle school level. Those kids would start a very rigorous program and stay with it for
That's my thought.
5 years. But
We're streaming kids that are super duper smart, and.
But they can't, IB by law, by their own international policy, is only 11th and 12th grade. But you have these other courses you must take.
So this would only go one way then, from the ACE program
to the
IB.
IB
It
program.
can't go
And
the other
complete
way.
both programs.
But in IB, you're supposed to be taking the pre-IB courses as a 9th grader, as a 10th grader,
I got you. But
okay?
But I'm thinking the ACE program probably covered that for this child then, right?
I don't know.
With what they have to do for ACE.
I don't
To be
know.
able to get into IB.
Mr. Pender?
So the other thing I'd like to just say, not that I'm proposing it, but a lot of schools now with their Val and Sal recognize the top 10 students. Some districts have gotten away from recognizing Val and Sal and just recognize the top 10 students. I'm not proposing that. I'm just saying what districts do.
We tried that, and I do not like ValSal.
Yeah.
I will let you know and everyone else know. That is not something I've ever wanted to see happen. It got itself ingrained in this county back in the early 70s, and there was shenanigans going on then. I would love to see it go to the top 10 students. Those students have complete an essay, a prompt or something, and you have an impartial faculty committee blind reading these for determining who's going to give a speech at graduations. So they actually write out their graduation speech, submit it, and that committee makes a decision. And you don't have to do just 2. You could do 3. You could do four students because you limit the time to maybe maximum 2-minute speech. I would love to see more kids get recognized. And ValSal is not in terms of the top universities anymore. That doesn't mean
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to say, is really it's more of a tradition and
it's not.
thing in a local community.
Yeah.
Universities, they're looking for top talent.
Yeah. they're
So
looking for
whether
IB
you're Val or
or-
Sal or not, they're looking at a lot of different things, including your attendance and everything to
look at they look at
give
the total
scholarships
student.
and,
So
yeah.
Anyway, that's the way I feel about ValSal to begin with. You should know that.
Would it
So-
be appropriate then, maybe to send out a survey to the parents and saying, hey, we're looking to change, and this is what we're thinking about? Yes, no, maybe?
We did that,
And
and the board is the one who kicked it to the curb.
So do we want to
The
bring this
parents
back
are
and
okay
maybe
with it.
review the whole policy?
Parents were okay as long as you phased it in. You just didn't drop
Right.
it on them.
right.
Right, but it's something we should work on now
Yeah.
for next year if we're going to change something.
I agree with that. We're going to make a change, we start now, it'll be in place possibly for next year.
Or the year after.
Or
It's-
the
Or the
year
year
after,
after.
but, yeah.
It's if you want to take 2 years to get it in, that's fine. But I think at some point, we're all about kids. And so this is one area we should really be about
About the
kids.
kids and
And highlighting them at graduation. That, you know, we do everything we can to recognize them in terms of their academics, your honors, your high honor, highest honors, your
The only thought I'll
organizations.
throw out there, and I really haven't, I'd want to give it a lot more thought, is education is all about meritocracy. So it is about recognizing the best of the
the
best.
best. Right.
So I just want to throw that out there.
I will tell you, this came up years ago at Springstead because we had a student who was in FBLA, won a national competition for being able to, I forget the exact term, but it was having to do with giving speeches and answering questions, whatever. Got national recognition. He was in the top 10, but he couldn't speak at graduation because he wasn't 1 or 2. And he came to me and said, wait a minute, this is really not fair. And I said, you're right, it's not. And that's when we started looking at it. We have a lot of talented kids, and they deserve an opportunity,
Well, we have kids
not
that
just based on a grade point average. And that conversation changed my entire focus on what this should be about. And to this day, I still think we should, you know, have a competition among the top 10. We stopped using our administrators to introduce. I don't know if you've noticed, but at Springstead, we stopped using administrators to
use
introduce the valedictorian, salutatorian, da-da-da-da-da-da. That was the only way I could get these kids onto the stage, was have them decide what role they were going to take in the program. And that worked. It helps. It helps giving them some recognition, because in the program it will say ranked 3rd, ranked 4th, ranked 5th, whatever.
top of their class, right?
Yeah. But I would love to see it.
And I think that's why, the only reason I brought it, because to me, as a parent, as a school board member, as a former working in the schools as a teacher, I feel that a child that's going to try to excel deserves some kind of recognition. And I don't feel that we should penalize them because we don't offer both programs at one school or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's not fair. Because if we had both at one
Well, then
school,
get rid of Val-Sal and open it up and see what we can do. And yes, I'd love to discuss it with you more.
Okay.
But that's where it came from.
All right. Any further discussion on that? Ms. Rodriguez, do you have anything for today?
I do, thank you. So at our workshop at the 2 p.m. meeting, we have review and tentative approval of the Neola policy. And I'm not sure if we're going to get there yet, but this could be for maybe next time. Right now it is on the workshop, but if timing does not permit, I just want to say that the policy 2340 is driven by the exact verbiage in the Florida statute 6A-10.085. And I want to clarify that in Hernando County, when we enroll students, that we enroll students based on their gender at birth. There will never be a situation where the verbiage in line F in the policy that requires schools to notify the parents for overnight lodging when the room assignments are not separated by biological sex at birth. So even though we're following state statute and we would have to notify the parent, in Hernando County, that's not our practice. We will always, all the children will be separated by birth gender. So that is line F off of the policy. And I think to take line F off, we would be able to still be in compliance of what our views are and our beliefs in Hernando County. And in the new field trip packets, is there a procedure where it's stated to clarify our views? We need to look at that. Or have Neola put it in the policy that our district will always be acknowledging birth gender.
Could you read line F for me? Line F that you said you would want to remove?
For overnight lodging, whether room assignments are not separated by biological sex at birth.
That's the notification to the parent. There'll be no, we can't take that off because that's statute.
No, that's not.
That's
In our
statute.
policy, though, we do not need to leave it the way it is, because the way it is explains that we would just have to notify the parent if it were to happen. What I'm
Right.
saying is, in Hernando County, we're not okay with that happening at all. So there
Right.
shouldn't have to be a notification to the parent if indeed it does happen. There should never be an if indeed it does happen. In Hernando County, we're not allowing it to happen.
Right, we need to have a policy that states that they have to be also.
That it has to be separated by birth, gender.
Right, but you have to still leave that on, and
has
the
to be.
yeah, that has to stay by statute, but,
Yep, but we clarify it.
but yeah. Right now, I think it's a procedure in the field trip packet for them to separate them by birth, gender, in the procedure of the field trip packet. But we don't have a specific policy for it.
That's right. So we need to make sure we have it in policy.
Is that something we can review?
We'll send that language to Neola and ask them for guidance on that. I think that we can take it out because it's in statute. So statute trumps our policy anyway.
Okay.
So did I do a good job
No,
there,
absolutely.
Mr. Myers?
No, I agree with that.
Okay.
I would check with them.
So, yeah, but I will check, I can check with them and, because they have to guarantee it, so.
I have
Turn your light on, Ms. Duval.
one other section in there that I disagree with.
Go ahead.
Also.
So if there's an
hold on.
amendment, does that mean the entire policy goes back for another 28 days before it can come forward?
It's only in the workshop.
Yeah, it's only on the workshop tonight, and we're probably not going to get to it.
It's just a
Okay.
tentative
Yeah,
approval.
So
So it's
if you're-
not-
If you're going to amend the policy, obviously,
Do
you
it
would have
now.
to, you couldn't do it today because it's a workshop, so you'd have to put it on the agenda for your
But
next meeting.
But you don't have to bring it back, the whole thing, for another workshop?
No.
Okay.
I mean, look, you could do that.
We could
but-
pull that policy.
But I don't think I don't think you would have to, because you're discussing it at this, at a workshop. I think you have to discuss it at a workshop.
Which is, this would suffice.
Yeah, I think this would work. This is a public, I could argue this is a workshop. So this would be satisfactory, in my opinion.
I had another problem
Thank you.
on another item, which I made Ms. Royale aware of, and that was on 5200 on page 135 of that. Oh, here, I finally got it up.
Can we go back, though, to her policy real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
So she wants the actual language removed because it's already in statute, correct, Ms. Rodriguez? And then are we going to try to make a policy to state that, or you're okay with it just being in our procedures?
We just need to make sure that it's in what we follow in Hernando County.
Okay.
That it's our policy.
Removing it from the policy and adding it to the procedures.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So you don't want it to be a policy, you just want it in the procedures. You're okay with that?
As long as we follow it, wherever it needs to go, that we adhere to it.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question? You think Neola's going to weigh in if we're going to just take it out of the policy and just put it in our procedures? I mean, they would.
No, we're not putting
putting
that
that.
verbiage in our procedures.
Uh-huh.
We're putting that as part of our procedures is when we have field trips and we assign
Right.
overnight field trips, when we assign rooms, that they'll be separated.
No, I understand that, but why would you want Neola to weigh in then? I mean, I don't think.
No, only on taking it out, I'm asking
Yeah,
them.
okay.
Yeah, not to put it in our procedures. I'm only asking them to weigh in. Are you still going to guarantee the policy if we take that out? I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, because it's
Right.
in statute.
Yeah, well, that's sort of my point. Why,
Right.
it's in the statute, so I don't think they're going to object to it, but,
Yeah.
okay.
Like, we probably wouldn't even have to deal with them on that.
Yeah, they have to approve when we send it back, they have to approve those policies, that they're okay with it, but I don't see a reason why they wouldn't be, because it's in statute, so.
Okay.
Why not have a policy for that, though? Why not? Why just have procedure with it? Why not have a policy?
We'd have to find where it fits in the policy numbers on field trips. I'd have to look at the policy numbers and.
I just think that's a safety guard for us. I mean, just
If-
an extra, like, hey, this is in our policy.
Well,
This is where it
that's what
reads.
That's what I had written. I had put that we need to put it in policy, but if I'm hearing Mr. Pender correctly, if we put it in procedures, as long as it continues to align with our views, it has to be somewhere. So I'm not sure.
So I think that's the question for Neola. You know, if we want to put this in our policy, what do you think about that?
There's a policy on field trips. If you want to just add it there, that's fine. Done, taken care of.
Neola doesn't
And
weigh
then-
in on what we do, and we have the option of following and not
And then still
following a
continue.
recommendation.
We can put it there, and but let's make sure that it stays in procedures as well.
Have it both. Why not?
That's what I had it on here. But if it's going to be a problem, as long as we just document it wherever it needs to go to where we enforce that.
Okay. I can look at both.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Well, that's
You
quite
can
right.
finish.
I was reviewing 5200 policy, and there's something in there I didn't like. I had told Angela Royale about it. And it got down to, there's one line on page, it's page 134 and 5, it's listed, and it says procedures, I'm on the wrong page. Let me just change this. Procedures will be, each school should establish procedures to ensure good attendance consistent with this policy. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. I think that's something that needs to be a district procedure. So it's standard across the board. So one school doesn't do it one way and one school do it another. And this particular statute goes more into the truancy issues than it does in the actual attendance. So I told her about that. I'm hoping she brings a change to that. It's mentioned twice on 135 and page 134. I don't think each school should establish their own procedures. I think it should be a procedure.
Can you read that again?
Each school should also establish procedures to ensure good attendance consistent with this policy. I think that should be a district procedure, not a school procedure. That's my whole objection to that on those 2 pages.
I concur. I think it should be the same across the board for all of our schools.
Thank you. Since we were talking about it, I just thought I'd bring that up so you
Okay.
can digest that for later. Thank
I
you.
had a few other things, but I will bring that if we get to Neola. If not, then
Okay, if I address that?
yes, you may. Sorry.
So I think, I'll look at that, but I think that the also is there indicating that there are district policies, and then I think each school will establish some procedures is the difference between elementary, middle, and high school. I get what you're saying, that it should be, we do have district policies on attendance,
Yeah.
but then the procedures on how to enforce that policy might look different at elementary than it does at high school. I think
Then it
that's what
should
it's referring to.
specify
I'll look at
will
it.
be established for the district for high schools, middle, K-8s, and elementary. The way that reads is I got a school, as a principal, I can establish whatever procedures I want
Also,
also. I don't want that. I want it, we should be uniform across the board for all elementary, all middle, all whatever.
well, we'll make sure to have that information when we
Ms. Duval?
Okay. See if this changes it. Each school should also follow district policies to establish procedures to ensure good attendance consistent with the policy. Does that do what you want it to do?
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, Angela's going to come back with some language. I already spoke to her about that tonight, so let's see what she brings back. I mean, to me, it's just,
That sounds
It's a
better.
matter of
Yeah, that
wordsmithing it a
That
little
fixes
bit.
it.
it's just wordsmithing a little bit. I'm
Right.
not disagreeing.
If I'm hearing you
Well,
correctly,
just fix it.
as long as all the schools are the same,
Yeah.
meaning if the middle school has their own,
Yes.
the high school has their own verbiage, as long as it's across the board uniform for middle school and for high
Correct.
schools.
Correct. It's just-
So that it's
you
not
go-
up to each principal to alter it to how they see fit, to where it stays the same for all high schools, stays the same for middle schools.
No, I have no objection if all the elementary school principals get together and say, this is what we want to do, and they create a procedure. That's fine by me. I don't care how that evolves,
you
but
just
it's got
want
to
it-
be for the district.
You just want it uniform.
I want it uniform across the district, that's
I
all.
think adding,
Makes sense.
adding what I suggested would do that, Mr.
Okay. And then, do we have any further discussions? No, I don't think I have any more on Neola. I mean, I do, but
I'll just say, I think this is one of the better conferences of the FESA. It really, it went into a lot of subjects in a good manner. I think one of them missed the mark, one of the classes, but overall, I think the breakout sessions were good.
it was a good conference. I do have a few things on Neola, but some of it's more like I could do on the back end one, just some wording and grammar stuff.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and I think at the conference, every time you turned around, there was another AI class.
yeah, it was the highlight. Mm-hmm. I said I'm sure that you guys probably will not approve for me to go to another conference since I sent an email listing all the information at the conference, and it was long-winded, as Ms. Bonzik says. Oh, all right. That's all we have. Is that it? Ms. Rodriguez, you're good?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. So I call this meeting to adjourn at 1:43 p.m.